AskReddit by ClearType 5753. What's a fact that has been actively disproven, yet people still spread it? 24 hours for a missing persons report can't tell you how many people call 911 after their child partner has been missing for that long. When Samantha Josephson was kidnapped and killed after mistaking a stranger's car for her Uber, her friends did not immediately report her missing because they thought they had to wait 24 hours after her disappearance. Stanford prison experiment. People love to cite that one to show that people are naturally authoritarian and cruel, but the participant selection was very flawed and biased the results. Mindfield did a great episode about it. https://yahoo.be/KND_BBE8RQ?mark SIE5G3GX-WTKSW0DBE. I was in an AP Psych class and talked about this experiment. We mostly focused on the poor ethics, but I never heard anything about flawed and biased results. Good answer. Scientists don't know how bees fly. This one drives me crazy. Some guy said, by my math, bees shouldn't be able to fly, and didn't think that just maybe his math was off. No, it's that a very commonly observed thing somehow breaks the laws of physics. As a dietitian, it drives me nuts when people say that iceberg lettuce is devoid of nutrition. A typical serving of 100 grams provides 17% of your daily vitamin A and 20% of your vitamin K requirements, all for just 14 calories. Plus, it's a good source of potassium, manganese, and fiber. So, it's far from being just water, there's definitely nutritional value there. Thank you. I love iceberg lettuce and strongly prefer it to other leafy greens. I understand the Docker ones are better, but that doesn't mean iceberg is bad. Gum stays in your intestines for 7 years if you swallow it. Me stuffing myself with gum and trying to fart out a bubble. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. Cracking your knuckles causes arthritis. 1000 Oaks, Caliph, doctor won the Ig Nobel Medicine Prize for his first-hand research into arthritis in fingers. As a child and in adulthood, Donald Unger's mother, several aunts, and mother-in-law warned him that cracking his knuckles would lead to arthritis in his fingers. To test that theory, he cracked the knuckles of his left hand, but not the right hand, every day for more than 60 years. Strangers will give me free drugs on street corners and in Halloween candy. A small town I was living in during Halloween had several businesses gather downtown to do a safe trick or treat for the kiddos. You go to each booth where they advertise their business and give you candy. It's usually a good community event. A few years ago, there was one business that was a dispensary, but they were giving normal candy, obviously. The next day, some kid that supposedly went to the event got sick from edibles, and the parents accused that it came from that event and it was that dispensary. It came out later that the kid got into the parents' own stash they left out. No one is gonna give free drugs to kids, it's too expensive for that. Carrots improve your night vision. It was a fact promoted by the Allies during WW2 to hide their invention of radar. All those British pilots are downing German bombers at night because they eat so many carrots. Totally not because we have a device that lets us see them day or night from dozens of miles away. My favorite incorrect fact of all. I've always had great night vision, and as a kid I thought it was because I did eat carrots. Imagine my surprise when I found out it's not carrots that give me great vision, it's radar. The misconception that humans only use 10% of their brains, which has been debunked by neuroscience. In reality, various parts of the brain have specific functions, and most of the brain is active at different times. I always hate this one too. It's something dumb people say to sound smart. That people used to only live to age 30 in the past. I can't believe how often people still mention this misconception. Average mortality rate, individual life expectancy. When people think average life expectancy, they'll intuitively think of it as what's the most common age to die. That would be the mode, but the stats are never about that. That on average you swallow 8 spiders a year. When really that one guy that swallowed 450,237,448,097,561 spiders really skewed the data. Also that you're never more than 3 feet away from a spider. Yes, if you add up all the spiders in the world and divide them evenly there will be a spider every 3 feet, but there's no spider distribution system. It's illegal to talk about how much you're paid. In the US, in almost all cases, it is illegal for your employer to even suggest they would rather you not talk about your pay. Myers-Briggs personality test has no independently verified evidence behind it. It has no more scientific evidence behind it than a Cosmo quiz. https://en.m.wiki.org/Myers%2%80%93Briggs_type_indicator. I watched a BuzzFeed video once where they did a comprehensive personality test of a group of guys, then gave them the results and asked them what they thought. Each guy said, "Wow, this is crazy, it's so accurate etc." Then they told them that they'd all been given the same generic printout. Just a massive confirmation bias, and we'll make any bits fit that we want to and ignore what doesn't. I stopped paying attention to any personality quiz after that. That you will make less by getting a raise due to getting into the next tax bracket, specific. This is true only in very rare scenarios like receiving disability, but by and large, you won't make less per paycheck with a raise. Right. It's not that you pay a higher percentage on your entire income. Let's say you go from making $100K to $150K and the tax rate is 15% until you reach $100K and 20% if you make $100K 150K, the next tax bracket. You'll pay 15% on the first $100K, $15,000, and 20% on the next $50K, $10,000. So total you paid $25,000 in taxes, which yes is more taxes, but you also brought home $125K whereas the previous year you only brought home $85K. The tryptophan in turkey makes you sleepy. 1. You'd have to eat an entire 20-pound turkey by yourself in one sitting to get enough tryptophan to get sleepy from it. 2. Chicken actually has higher concentrations of it, and nobody is running around saying chicken made them sleepy. Overeating makes you sleepy, not the turkey. Hey, let's be reasonable, a lot of the sleepiness is also caused by the pre-turkey drinking. That you can catch a cold from being outside in the cold. You become more susceptible, but the actual cold is a virus you can only catch from other people. One of the most interesting things I learned during COVID is that those cold and flu and coronaviruses are surrounded by a protective fatty layer. It's dense and durable in the cold, but in the heat it melts a bit and gets fragile. So viruses spread more easily when it's cold out, because they last longer outside before disintegrating. It's still true that you don't catch a cold from being cold, but the combination of tougher viruses and people breathing all over each other indoors makes viral infections more likely in winter. People love to talk about how pandas are incapable of surviving, and so evolutionarily incompetent that they need to be goaded into even reproducing. In fact, pandas are very highly specialized and adapted to an ecological niche that was never under threat until human intervention. They're grazers in bamboo forests, which used to be an enormous biome, and their behavioral issues in captivity are just a result of not having access to even a reasonable approximation of that biome. They evolved to be picky about food because they evolved surrounded on all sides by food and adapted to extract the best food efficiently, instead of clear-cutting their environment to get worse food. They evolved to patrol enormous territories because they evolved surrounded by endless usable habitat in all directions. It's not their fault that animals act weird when transplanted from their homes. I think it's hilarious zookeepers got them to make by making them watch panda porn. The effects of porn nullify human intervention to fire natural habitat. If you shave facial hair it grows back thicker. Edit, my notifications. True, I have been clean shaven for 98% of my adult life and I should be growing one large hair at this point. That if you touch a baby animal for any reason, their parents will abandon them because they now smell like you. This is a good one that should stay in circulation. It was very likely invented by human parents to prevent their human children from trying to cuddle cute baby animals and getting attacked by angry animal parents. Also, seeing that clip of young adults trying to pet an adult bear while it was eating, we need to invent more leave animals alone myths for everyone's protection. Well, I take that back. I want to protect the animals from the consequences of human stupidity. They shouldn't be euthanized for following their completely reasonable instincts after being harassed by attention whores. Let's just say, if it was true, I'd have been blind by the age of 12. The whole alpha wolf thing. Inside you there are 2 wolves. You should visit a surgeon to remove them. That Napoleon was short. He was actually average height. The power of propaganda is immense. There is a kernel of truth to it, however. French foot and British foot are 2 different units of measurement. Napoleon was 5 feet 2 in French Imperial, which is 5 feet 6 in British Imperial. That our blood is blue before it reaches oxygen. It's more like red when deoxygenated and very slightly brighter red when oxygenated. I think this myth is perpetuated by color coding and anatomy charts, primarily. People still believing in the flat earth claim. I'd say childish, but even children know better. I was so surprised the first time I found out I actually knew someone who believed in a flat earth. I had always just figured it was fake or crazy internet people. That MSG is bad for you in any way. I'm sure, just like regular salt, if you have too much it is bad for you. That is one kind of way. Although in normal doses it's no different. Referring to the post from a few minutes ago. You must drink 3 liters of water every day to maintain your health. There is no scientific basis for this fact and overindulgence can be dangerous. One of the biggest issues is that people equate how much water you need with how much water specifically that you need to drink. You get a lot of water from the foods you eat and from drinking other liquids as well. Obviously plain water is better for you than soda or juice or coffee etc, but if you drink those, you don't then also need to add additional water. And again, food also contains water. That men have 1 less rib than women. I have no idea how people still spread this, but I heard it all throughout childhood. There was a girl at my church I was kinda into and who was kinda into me. She pulled this fact out with me, citing Adam having had a rib taken from him to form Eve. I told her that I doubted that. When she insisted, I offered that we could find a private space and we could count each other's ribs. Fantastically smooth for church flirting. Still proud of it. After eating, wait 30 minutes before swimming. There was also a rumor about how parents put a special tablet in the pool that made the water turn orange if you peed in the pool, but that might fit better under what are some white lies parents tell children. That there are left brain and right brain people, at least the way people mean it. The lady who sued McDonald's for coffee being too hot was exaggerating and an opportunist. McDonald's smeared her name. The poor woman needed skin grafts, due to that coffee burn. She also didn't sue McDonald's initially. She only asked for help paying her medical bills, and sued when they outright refused any help. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But yeah, no, that's just a theory. Peeing on a jellyfish sting alleviates the pain. If you pee on the jellyfish that stung you, you'll feel a little bit better. Applies to any animal that wrongs you. That Hitler was part Jewish. It's a rabbit hole, but essentially it came from a claim that his mother worked for a Jewish family where she got pregnant. It was a smear campaign against him and that family never existed. To this day people say it like it's a fact. Because people are trying to find a reason why he's targeting only Jewish people. Except he didn't just target Jewish people, he targeted everyone he deemed less human. And I only found out about that recently because no one talks about them enough. The concept of the alpha wolf. This comes from a study where wolves in captivity will band together in a family type unit for survival. I guess there's a half-truth in it because that really is an observed thing, though it's less like the alpha wolf is a dictator deciding who lives and who dies and more is like the community leader. This study though applied the concept of the alpha wolf to all wolves, including the ones in the wild where wolves don't act like that. In the wild, wolves mainly just stick with their families, with the oldest in their families being the leaders. So the mom and dad usually. The originator of this study has since admitted that the study was not correct, but too many people have run with it now. It's not even that much true. The study results were disproven and retracted by the author, who regretted publishing it and starting this myth. The alpha male in the wild myth has been completely disproven. In the wild, an alpha wolf would be killed and eaten by the pack. The tightness of a woman's vagina is influenced by how often she engages in sex. Plenty of medical data out there shows that tightness is affected only by a woman's aging and natural childbirth. Even more ridiculous is the guys who broadcast this myth only seem to do it when a woman has had multiple sexual partners. Why would sleeping with 20 different men once stretch them out, but sleeping with the same man 20 plus times be perfectly fine? A bunch of people in my family keep trying to hand wash dishes when they stay over. I'm saving you water and getting them cleaner. No, you are not. My dishwasher uses 1.5 gallons of water, and I could steam fish in it. It gets so hot. I have to beg them to use it so my well doesn't run dry faster. Shaving causes hair to grow back thicker, faster and darker. Vikings wearing horned helmet. That your ancestors ate anything resembling the paleo diet. Vaccines cause autism. Or a host of other things about vaccines that boil down to asserting you are at greater risk from a vaccine than you are from the thing it's protecting you from. Autistic folks are overrepresented in research fields. So technically, autism causes vaccines. Flat Earth. Deleted. Was it a lie to see how quick it would spread on the internet, or did you make that second part up to see how quickly it would spread on the internet? Litter boxes in public schools for students identifying as cats. I was searching for this one. I've heard this 3 different times with my in-laws. By the 3rd time I was armed and ready to make them prove it with any article they could find anywhere outside their friend on Facebook. They were surprised to find that they couldn't find a single instance of it. You're supposed to pee on jellyfish stings. Please don't do that. Money can't buy happiness. Complete bullshit. Money buys tons of happiness, and anyone who says it doesn't is a liar or doesn't know how to have a good time. The original context was lost, which was more or less hoarding wealth doesn't make you happier and was not for silencing the poor as it is commonly used, but rather chastising the rich, because once you get past a certain degree of comfort and stability, you have massive diminishing returns when it comes to wealth. That being cold makes you sick. Mormons believe that Jesus was in the Americas. That record was in the Book of Mormon, which they say was translated to English from Reformed Egyptian. This has been disproven. And that Native Americans were outcast Jews from the Middle East who were turned black by God as punishment. Domination theory in wolves and dogs. Thanks Caesar for setting us back a century with TV programs.